There's a lot of them dig holes around. This is not going to go far. Just going to find somewhere to set down. See how hard it is to get down to the creek right here. Oh, you guys, hold on. I pulled some moss off. I don't know how well that's going to focus up close. There's a few strands right there. And again, I don't know. It was caught right here on that little point right there. Yeah, that smells really bad. That smells like fish, like dead fish. This looks like a trail right here. Make sure it's not a yellow jacket nest. Yeah, that almost looks like a trail going down right there. The creek's just right there. I don't know how easy it is to get to it. Oh, I can see it. It's right down there. There's a buck rub on that tree right there, that little one. So it's most likely a deer trail here. Should have brought my pruners. A lot of water coming out of the ground in there too. Oh, there's another spring right there. Right down on that bottom right there, it's coming out of the wall. Make sure it wasn't a snake. There's the creek. I have shorts on, so I don't want to. Look, there's a footprint right there, I think. Whoa. That almost got bad. That almost looks like a footprint right there. I don't know who'd be coming up this mess. It's muddy. If I can break some of this junk. Feet are gonna get wet. Sure, look at the water here, it's beautiful. This right here is what's coming out of the spring up there, out of that little hole in the bank. It's running down right here. Boy, this is creepy. This is really creepy in here. easier. I got a leak in my left boot. Just felt it. This is really pretty. There's a little waterfall right through there, right around that curve. I need to bring the pruners and open all this up. This is beautiful right here. See how high the bank goes up. All right, I'm gonna find somewhere, maybe not in here. Yeah, this is a little too creepy. And it's just, I don't know how to, I wish there was a way I could relay the feeling to you guys how it feels in here, but there's no way to actually do that. Let's go up here where I can sit down because I do want to talk to you for a bit. Guys, what this is today, just so that you know, this past, I guess, a year and a half, it's been quite a while, I've received a ton of emails from people. Oh, this is slippery. I've had so much rain. There's the buck rug. Just broke that. See it right there. There's a blue-tailed skink. Okay. I'm gonna go up here. Here's some more of that mess. And get it in the light. That's two of them twisted together, it looks like. It's really hot out today. Very humid. So we can find a set down area. I don't think I don't remember if I've ever shown you guys this part of the property where we're at right now. I don't think I filmed it. I may have. I don't remember. Maybe able to go up over here. It's really pretty in here. It's beautiful. Guys, it was 93 degrees when I got out of the truck, which is like 9:30, 9:25. Let me get my phone up. There it is. Hang on. Pull it back up. It's 10:15 right now. So it was, yeah, maybe 9:20. But it was already 93 degrees. This is in the morning. We are Central Standard Time here. This is an odd area. It's beautiful. I mean, it looks peaceful. It doesn't feel that way. It's actually got a strange feel to it. I may go right up in there. We get a lot of deer through this area. They actually crossed the creek. They got something just went through the water. They cross in multiple areas right here. We don't hunt this spot because they're bedding just right up here, right up the hills where they're bedding at, and we do not hunt the bedding areas. It's not fair for them to be asleep and unaware, and a human comes along and shoots you in your sleep. Now this trail, this is a game trail. It continues. It crosses the property boundary. I don't know how far it goes beyond that. There's got to be somewhere in here. Look at that trail right there. I never noticed that one. That's what you got to be careful in, these palmettos. Because there is a ton of wildlife that makes the palmettos their home. Especially wild pigs. I wonder if I could break some of this off. I may be able to sit on this little stump right there. I don't have my pruners. See how easy it is to break this off. Got something living under the root. Hopefully it's not a yellow jackets, but my luck, it is. All right, I'm gonna go up here. Guys, I'm gonna change my camera settings. Just noticed I'm filming on 2.7K, and it not only gobbles up, it consumes more battery than 1080, but no matter what you film in, YouTube crops everything down to 1080p. If you're filming in 4K, it's going to be in 1080p when you upload it. So it just doesn't make sense to film in a higher resolution if it's only going to be standard resolution once it's uploaded. Oh, it's so pretty in here. It's a lot of good areas you could set a tree stand up in here and ambush these deer, but you're catching them as they're coming and going from their bedding areas, and that's not how we hunt. Not Chris and I, anyhow. All right, let me change the resolution and put it back on 1080p, and I'll get on off. I get sidetracked, what I was telling you earlier. So let me change this, and then I'll get back on that track again. All right. I'm on 1080p now. What I was getting at with the emails earlier when I got sidetracked. It's been probably a year and a half. It may be longer. Did y'all hear that? Something just came through the limbs over here. Hit somewhere over there. It may have been a pine cone. But it sounded like it traveled. Like it come through this way is what it sounded like. Holy cow. That's loud. That's an animal. That was loud. That was a movement in the water of the creek, and then a big limb being broke. That's right through there. Oh, I'm shaking. I unlocked my pistol. Okay. I can hear my heartbeat in my ear right now. I'm on the wireless mic, you guys, I'm sorry. The camera mics would have definitely caught that. That was really loud. Oh boy. I don't know what to do. I don't want to walk back toward it to go, because I got to go back that way to get out. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to keep the camera pointed that direction. I'm going to walk up this hill. I can get back to the truck by going this direction. It just gets really thick. And I really don't want to go that direction the way I'm aiming the camera. I really don't want to go back that way. I'm really, really nervous right now. I'm shaking bad. Let's get up here. Golly. I have no idea what made that noise. I have none. I don't know if I can get by. I'm probably going to end up on a game trail. Hopefully it's not a bear game trail. I really hope that whatever that was doesn't come this way. Maybe I can get through over here, maybe? I don't know. What I was trying to explain about the emails. a lot of people have emailed me, and it's been a lot now. Maybe more than a dozen and a half. But I keep getting asked about my encounters, and Brother Sean, I just got an email from him. It ended up in my spam folder for some reason. And this morning, I checked my emails last night, and this morning I just got an inclination to check my spam folder. What is that? Is that a hunting stand, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, I had a feeling I needed to check my spam folder, so that's what I did. And lo and behold, got a few emails in it that are not spam, and one of them was Sean's email. And people asking about my encounters, which video on Standing Goats Rescue where are they at? Which video? And if any of you are watching this that have emailed me asking about that, when I've shared my encounters, my stories here on our channel, I did not label them as being my encounters. They were live shows. And a couple of times I had no intention at all of sharing my encounter. The show was about something entirely different, and one thing led to the other, and I ended up sharing it. So I do not know. I tried to find it several times, and I have no idea which live shows are on. I have no idea at all. So there's some cloth right there. Looks like an old hunting blind, old faded camo pattern. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to share some of the stuff that's happened to me in my encounter. I'm still nervous from hearing that over there. Excuse me. I just want to get away from the creek. So we're going to go up here, find somewhere to set, and I'm going to share some of the stuff that I've experienced. I may even do just a brief rundown of my lifelong journey with all the weirdness that's happened. A lot of the stuff I've really tried to forget. I've even debated on CNA hypnosis to see if I can get that mess purged out of my memory. Because I don't want to remember a lot of it. I'm opening up my hunt stand app right now. I'm a little bit turned around. I just want to see where I'm at. Okay, I'm going the right direction. Guys, all the trees that you see down in here, the majority of them are from tornadoes. When Hurricane Michael hit, we got it pretty bad here but we had just walls of tornadoes come through this area. And there's an animal living right there. On the other side of the property, we're on the west side here. On the east side, you can actually see the path that a lot of these tornadoes have taken. You can follow it straight through. Jeez, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this mess. I really can't go this way. I'll be on the neighbor's property, but that'll be all right. Maybe if I can get up here, maybe. We have a lot of rattlesnakes here, so I'm trying to watch for them. And hornets. I'm a hornet magnet. Something's really been digging this up right here. That's a big tree. Big pine. See if we can get around. Find a spot to plant my backside, and I'll mount the camera. We'll share a lot. I'm not going to share everything that I've experienced. I'll just share some of the bigger stuff. The things that impacted my life and still do. Ooh, spider webs. Here's a pretty magnolia tree. It's a pretty big one. There's another critter hole. I should have went through the bedding area because it's a little easier to get through over there. This spot, not so much. Rabbit. See movement, my heart stopped. There's a rabbit right over here. Shoot, we might even find a deer shed over here. Maybe. Usually areas like this is normally where I've found a lot of them. Over there, back there where the beds are at, the deer beds, I found 2 sheds the same day last year right there. I think I've got off track. I believe I've got to go that way. Well, this is a trail right here. I don't know where it goes. We'll follow it. It's really thick over there. If I can get through. Looks like it might open up right there. Let me check my map again. Okay, I'm not off track. Go back over here. I'm on the right path. I'm still on our property. I thought I got on the neighbor's side. It's been a while since I've been in here. I really don't think I've been in this particular section though. I've got a camera over here somewhere. I just don't know where. See if we can get through right there. This looks like a deer trail right here too. I did put a camera in here, somewhere in here. I doubt I'll ever find it. It's cool right here. Feels like it's a few degrees cooler. I don't know why that would be, but it feels that way. Just trying to find a semi-open area where we can sit down. The last time I come in here, I used my pruners and I clipped a bunch of stuff. And I'm not seeing anything that's been clipped. There we go. It's open right here. Look at that tree has formed a perfect arch. Alright, I'm gonna walk right down here, see what this is about. All the trees are broke laying that direction. This one's not. Squirrel or something over there moving around. Pull my map up again. Okay, I'm still on track. Armadillo. That's a possum on a half shell. It's a game trail right there. It's got to be somewhere in here I can set. So we can find a log up in here somewhere. There's some wild grapes. They're not ripe yet. Yep, here's the vine right here. They're all over out here. It'd be nice if I found one of those cameras. Let's see. What about right here? We've got a log right here. They'd be able to set on. Got a couple right there. Looking. There's a big one right over there. This area here is pretty open. See if I can get over here. I'm gonna go sit on this one of these. No, I don't know about that. Well, we'll go back over this way. I can see one. I can make one out back through the brush over here. Seems like that camera I mounted was in an opening like this. Oop, got a spider web in my face. Alright. Let's go down here. Where was that log? Right through there. I'm in shorts, so every time my leg brushes against some leaves, I immediately think there's a tick on me. And I'm probably going to have several on me. We've had so much rain. Let's see, I thought this one would work, but I don't know. Spiderweb's all in my face. There's a tree down over here. Hope that was the wind. I get startled very, very easily out here. I wish that weren't the case, but it is what it is. Oh, here we go. We got a few trees down right here. Jeez. Not much of a selection. I want to be in the shade. What is that one back there? There's one over there. That may work. Guys, I'm sorry I'm dragging this out. Whoa, big spider web. I wanted to sit down closer to the creek, but after hearing that movement in the water, yeah, I changed my mind against that. Sounded like something took a couple of steps across the water and then broke a sizable log. All right. Well, if that had fallen, it'd be great, and then it'd be dry. This may work. Maybe. There's just so much stuff. I don't want a tick crawling up the weeds and getting on me. See if I can break some of this off. Maybe this will work right here. How stout is that? I think that'll work right there. All right, where to begin? I don't really know. I'm gonna throw out some of the stuff that had happened throughout my life. Try to keep it somewhat short. I know I've wasted a lot of time getting out here. One of the first events that had happened to me as a child, I was young. I guess I was 2, but I remember it. I was with my mother and father, my biological father, and we was coming back from Atlanta, Georgia, going to Montgomery, Alabama, and it was that night. And I was in the back seat, and we were on the old Atlanta highway, and I don't know the name, the numeric name for that highway, I don't remember, but it's the main highway from Atlanta to Montgomery. There's nothing out there. I mean, you'll go for many, many miles, and there's no street lights, there's nothing, it's just forest. I was in the back seat, and back in those days, this was the early 70s, seat belts were, they're just a nuisance. People didn't wear them hardly. Most vehicles only had lap belts. Some of the newer stuff came out with the shoulder restraint and the lap belt. And as children, we traveled a lot, so we would be in the back seat, and we'd sleep in the floorboard. As a child, it's really comforting to lay there in that floorboard and hear the hum of the road and the hum of the motor, and it just puts you to sleep. I was in the back floorboard, and I remember everything went quiet. I was not asleep, I was awake. And this light started, the inside of the car started lighting up. And I don't know if I stood up, I don't know if I got on the seat. I remember looking over the seat, over the back of the seat, the driver's seat. And it was just an immense bright light, but it didn't hurt your eyes. It was just immense. There was no shadows, and there were little, like, people, small, like children-sized people. There were a lot of them. They were all around the car. I went down in the floorboard, and my mother and father were quiet. There was no talking. There was when the car stopped. The radio shut off. I mean, everything went silent. And then they went silent. And I remember looking under the seat. I got in the floorboard, and I could see the springs and the foam in the bottom of the seat. Under the seats was lit up. There was no shadow. This light, it was almost as though the molecules of air themselves emitted light. Anywhere there was air, it was light. It was crazy. And I remember being fascinated at seeing under the seat, and I could see not only under it, but up, like toward my mother's rear end. The bottom of the seat, that was lit up. There was no pockets of shadow anywhere. It was just solid light. We were submersed in it. And then I remember the car started running. It did not, the starter never contacted. You know, when you turn the key to crank your car, you hear the starter and then the engine fires up. The starter never engaged. The car was off, radio was off, everything was off. We were at a dead stop. We weren't moving. And then the engine's running, the radio's back on again. And we sat there for a few moments, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. And either Mom or Pop, one of them said, what was that? And I think Pop said, go. I think it was him that said it. And I was looking under the seat, the light was gone, and everything was dark again. I could not see the foam or the springs of the seat. And I could see Mama's feet, and I seen her when she held the brake pedal to put it in drive, and then I seen it when she hit the gas. I started having dreams, and even up into adulthood, into my 30s, my 40s. I don't think I've had any in probably 4 years. Either 50 or 51. I'm 54 now, so either 50 or 51 I had a dream. But I'm in my bed. I'm at home in the bed, and the room would light up in these little, what we now know as the Greys. They would come in the room, and they were coming to get me. And I remember, trying to hide. I'd pull the covers over my head. I don't think they ever actually got me. I think it was in the dream. I don't think they got me. They did pull the covers off of me, and then I'd wake up. And one time I tried to get under the bed, and I remember they were all around the bed. I could see their feet all around the bed. It was just bizarre. Those were just dreams. But as far as the event that happened in the car, that was real. I was out of touch with my biological father for many years, 30 years. And I contacted him probably 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And we just, you know, I didn't, he's getting old, and I didn't want him to go to the grave and me hold a grudge against him because of what happened and me having to be adopted. And I don't know the situation. I don't know what was happening. And I would be at fault if I held anything against him, and so I didn't. And I called, we rekindled that relationship. You know, I love him. I let him know that I loved him and cared for him. But we were talking one day. He died about 3 years ago. And it was a couple of years before he had passed away. And I said, Pop, because Mama never would tell me what happened. All she told me when I was growing up as a teenager and in my 20s, my early 20s, because she died, I was 21, I think. But I would ask her about that event. And she said, well, yeah, a UFO landed on top of the car. It didn't touch the car, but it was really close. And I do remember all the paint being burned off the hood and the roof and the back. It boiled the paint off the car. And but that's all. She wouldn't elaborate on anything. So a couple of years before Pop died, 5 or 6 years ago, I had called him and I said, Pop, I want to ask you something. And I said, I remember some of the details, but not a lot of them. And I said, I asked Mama, and she just wouldn't really tell me much. I said, but did we have an encounter with a UFO? And there was no hesitation. He said, yes, we did. He said it was on the old Atlanta highway. And I knew where it had happened. I remembered. And he said, not only once, but it happened twice. The second time we were on the way headed back to Atlanta, and it happened again. And he thinks it was within 2 or 3 miles of the first encounter. And he verified everything. I didn't know about the second encounter. I don't remember that one. But he verified the details as I remembered them, and he verified a lot of stuff I did not remember. And I asked him if there was missing time, and he said, I don't know. I don't remember. But the clock in the car never worked again after that. They had an AM, FM radio with an 8-track player in it. And for those of you my age and older, you guys remember the big 8 tracks. But after that, the 8-track player wouldn't work. There was a lot of things that come out of that. Well, anyhow, we'll skip forward. I've always had this knowing, and I don't know how to explain it. Things would happen, and before, like, we'd get a phone call, something major happened, the phone would ring, and immediately before the end of the first ring, I knew who was calling. I knew I knew all the details, just as though I was there and I witnessed it. I don't know how to explain that. I don't like it. I never have liked it, and it still happens today. A lot of times I could be in an area, I could touch something, not thinking about it, just, especially if I'm in an old place, a historical place, if there's a banister going up onto the porch of an old building. This happened not too long ago. It was at an old museum over in Niceville, I believe. This was on the 6th or the 8th of this month. We went on a motorbike ride, and the people I rode with, I just followed them. I filmed from the rear in case something happens. I got cameras mounted, so they chose to go there. As soon as I grabbed the handrail to walk up, it's like in my mind, I had an instant little video clip of the way that place looked when it was originally built, well over 100 years ago, and people walking around, they're tired. I get these little pictures or video clips in my head, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And if I could turn that mess off, I would. But I've always had stuff like that. I've been able to manipulate very small things without touching them. Toothpicks, marbles, things like that. And it's harder now. I tried a while back. I made what's called a psi wheel. And I can move it a little bit. I can make it spin, but not like I could when I was younger. Especially in my 20s, my late teens and early to mid 20s. I could, using my mind somehow, I don't know how it works, but I would stick my fingers up close to an item and I'd get it just a few inches from the item. And you guys know the old trick where you hold your hands out, your fingers, and you point them toward one another and you put them in your line of sight and you stare past it. And it appears that there's a short finger between your two fingers. Hey, you're looking beyond something and your eyes would make a trickery of what's right in front of you. Well, I would stick my hands up, my fingers up to an item, and I would get close to it, and then I would like stare beyond it. Even if I'm looking at a desk, I would try to make my eyes focus past the desk, and I would imagine my fingers growing about 3 inches longer, and I could see it. I could see my finger growing. As soon as it would touch that item, a marble, a pencil, whatever it was, then I could move my hands real slowly and I could push it. I could push it uphill on an inclined desk. I could move things that way. And it never bothered me. I thought everybody done it when I was younger. I didn't find out till I was in my 40s that it's called telekinesis. I thought, everybody does have the ability to do it. Don't get me wrong. Everybody on planet Earth can do it. But I watched a video from L.A. Marzulli, and he was talking about abductions with spacecraft. And when people are abducted, they come back, and they have these features, the ability to know things before they happen, telekinesis, just all these weird things. And then he emphasized on how the aliens are demons, they're demonic, and it scared me. It scared me tremendously. Now I'm under demonic influence was my thinking on it. And so I try to steer clear. If I get a little flash of something because I've touched something, I block it out. I try to block it out and forget about it. I don't dwell on it. I don't want this stuff happening to me. I don't know why it does, but I do believe whatever happened, I do believe that it is at least part of why these creatures are drawn to me. I hope it's not. I hope it's just coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidence. The word coincidence is for someone who lacks faith. You have to have faith in knowing that God makes all things happen. But the Prince of Darkness can also cause things to happen to you. There's no coincidence. This is my opinion, you guys. Please don't let it influence how you live, how you react daily. Don't let my opinions influence you, please. This is just me. I'm an oddball, and it's how the Lord created me, and I'm happy with how He made me. All the flaws I have are my own, and I've created 99% of them. But anyhow, I'm gonna move forward. I'm not gonna go. I'm getting raindrops on me, so I'm not gonna go through a lot of the other encounters. I'm gonna just skip right ahead to the one in Mariana. That's the one that changed me forever. And this is many of you have heard this encounter before, and I've worked really hard trying to forget it, and it'll come back at me when I'm in a position where I'm not thinking about this subject at all. That's when it comes back. I do still have dreams from it, nightmares from it. But I was in Mariana, Florida. I was between Highway 90 and Highway 231, and I was on 73 North, I believe. I will double check right now to make sure I'm telling you correctly. I want to make sure that I'm not misleading you. I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to tell you the exact road because I always get that confused. Marianna, Florida. Back up 90. All right, it is Highway 73 and it goes from Highway 90 to 231, which is State Road 75. It's Highway 231. So between Highway 90 and Highway 231 on 73. It was about halfway down that stretch of 73, and it was on the north side of the road. There's a farm there, several acres, and that's where we had contracts with that farm to remove the wild hogs that were destroying everything. And so I couldn't get, there were several of us. There were 7 of us full-time. There were 9 of us there most of the time. And there for a few weeks, nobody would go out there with me. And they either had to work or they were tied up. There was always a reason. So I called a friend of mine, and I'm not going to give her a real name. And every time I've shared this encounter, I used the name Lisa. That is not her real name. She has gotten into a ton of trouble, and last time I seen her, she's not the same, and it's not due to that encounter. It's just who she is. She was in a lot of trouble before her and I ever met, and she just got out of the trouble, did a lot of serious time, if you understand what I'm saying. But she got back on that lifestyle of just bad living. And the last time I seen her, tried to talk to her, and she just exploded on me. You know, she doesn't want to hear anything. When it comes to the Lord, she don't want no part in anything good. But anyhow, I called her and I told her, I said, look, I've got to go up to Marianna. I've got to check that field. We got traps on that field, and if there's pigs in it, they can't go no longer than 3 days without food and water, or they'll die and they'll start eating themselves, eating each other. And so I asked her, I said, would you go with me? It was that night. And I said, look, you can drive. It was in a Toyota Tercel, and I told her, you stay in the Toyota, in the air conditioning. She agreed. We drove up there. When you turn off of Highway 73 onto the field, the first field, it's a small field, maybe 20 acres. You drive around it, and on the opposite side, straight across from the highway, there's a 2-trail that goes through this real heavy, thick area. And it about 100 yards long. It's a straight shot, and then it's the big field. A couple hundred yards across the big field is a point, a land point that comes out. It's real heavy forest, and that's where the trap is. And so we went around that first field. We pulled the Toyota onto the 2-trail, and I had her stop right there because it was I think it was a 94 Tercel, but there's no way it would have made it down that 2-trail. We would have been stuck. And so she sat in the car. I got out. I got my headlamp on, got my 7mm short mag, and my fanny pack, which had my snake bite kit, some batteries, just some necessities in it that I carried with me out there. As I'm walking away from the car, going down the 2-trail, on the left side of the trail, I could hear something paralleling me, walking with me, step for step. And I would stop, and it would stop, but it would take one extra step before it stopped. I get down just a few feet from the end of that 2-trail where that big field starts, and these are peanuts. There's a little stream, you know, a foot wide, 1.5 feet wide, that crosses the trail right there, and you got to step over it. As soon as I got to that stream and I stepped over, you know, I landed in the leaves and some debris that was right there. When the water, we have rains, it floods through there, and all the debris it drags with it, it kind of builds up on the little bank, and my foot landed in that debris. As soon as it did, I heard what I assumed was a sow, a mother pig, calling her young. A long drawn out, a grunt. And when they do that, the young will get behind the mama, she'll take off, and they'll follow her a single file. She'll get them to safety. And I stopped, when I heard that, I froze. I listened, there was no other sounds. I crossed the stream, took a few steps. I'm in the edge of the big peanut field. My headlamp is hitting the ground about 6 feet in front of me because the copperheads are horrible up there. It is infested with them. And you don't want to get snake bit when you're in peanuts that are, they're, I don't know, a foot high. You can't see the snakes until you walk up on them. And so your headlamp's hitting the ground right in front of you. Well, I turned and I leaned my head back where my headlamp had shined down the field, waiting to see eyes come out from the pig that was paralleling me coming out on the field. And I waited a minute or two, and nothing ever came out. Well, I went ahead and I crossed the field, got to the trap. It's empty. So I came back. Now, we had a big moon, a full moon that night, so the peanuts looked lime green. You could see 100 yards without the aid of a light. Everything's lime green. Well, I get on that 2 trail, and I walk over, and as soon as I step over that little stream, I heard that sound again, but this time I wouldn't make it. I planted my foot. The crunching stopped because I didn't step on a lot of stuff coming back. And as soon as I planted my foot, I heard the sound again, and I recognized it as a growl. It was a very, very deep, bassy, throaty growl, unlike anything I've ever heard. It sounded like a giant Yorkshire or Hampshire, a domestic farm pig. Deep, deep, deep growl. And I just froze for a minute. I was listening to it. Well, I pulled my other foot over, and then it started. It would growl at me, a long, deep, drawn out, raspy growl. And then on the inhale, it would like snarl. Well, I start walking back toward the car, and I stepped over because I knew it was a bear then from the growl. I was pretty certain. I stepped over to the left side of the trail because the sound was coming from my right. And it starts moving with me, and then a smell hits me. The wind turned, I guess. I don't know. I didn't smell it coming down the trail. Coming back, when I stepped over that stream and I smelled it, it was so intense that you could taste it. I mean, going into my nostrils, it felt like I was breathing air out of an oven. It felt hot, temperature-wise. It felt really hot. It had you could definitely smell a wet dog smell. You could definitely smell the ammonia from old urine, a soil smell, like a roadkill that had been out there a while that's really rotten. It just had all the nastiest of nasty odors you could imagine. It was like all of it blended. I continued trying to get to the car, and I look up. I could see the car. I could see the lime green peanuts in the distance behind it. And I could even make out Lisa, her head, in the driver's seat. I could see her moving her head around. She had the radio on, the air conditioner going, and she was just having a good time. And I could see her through the windshield because everything behind the car was lime green. Well, this thing's walking with me, growling and snarling, and I'm as far over to the left as I can go. He's on my right, and listening to the steps, I could tell he was coming toward me. And I thought he was going to step out, and this is a wall it's far thicker than what you're seeing here. This is a wall of vegetation, and out of all of us that hunted that, none of us have ever went into it because it's so thick you can't get into it. When he was getting really close, I thought he would step out beside me. I mean, I thought we were going to intersect, and I heard it when he stepped through that wall. of the wild grapes, the muscadines, and all the other stuff that's growing there. When he stepped through it onto the 2 trail, I stopped. I heard it and I froze. And he stepped all the way out. He was on the trail behind me, and it sounded like he was about 15 to 20 feet behind me. And then there's a thudding going on the ground. I could feel it in the ground, the thud, like. And I thought, oh crap, you know, he knows I'm here and I've got to shoot him. And I did not want to shoot a bear because I'm afraid of bears, always have been. And I knew it's him or me, I'm going to have to shoot him. I turned my safety off. I got my finger in the trigger well, and all I got to do is pull, point, and shoot. And so I'm trying to turn back. I have very limited mobility in my neck due to the neck injury when I broke my neck. Back then, I had even less mobility than I do now. So I have to twist at my waist to turn to see beside me or behind me. I couldn't turn far enough to see behind me, and so I had to like kind of shimmy my feet until my feet were facing the left side of the trail. And then I twisted and I'm looking down the trail behind me, expecting to see this, you know, waist-high bear 20 feet behind me, and prepared to kill him if I had to. Well, when I get turned around, everything's black. I can't even see the peanuts, and they're lime green from the moonlight, and I can't see them. And I thought I was fainting. And I was trying to focus, get my eyes to come back, because I thought they blacked out on me, and I was fixing to go down. And then he growled again when I got turned. And that's when I realized the sound was coming from overhead. It wasn't coming from behind me. My headlamp's shining kind of down, and so I leaned back like that to look up, not knowing what I'm looking for. You know, is it in the trees? Is it flying? I had no idea. I leaned back, and my headlamp hits him right here on the upper chest, his right side. And it just lit him up. And I was looking at what I believed to be a caveman. He was 2 to 3 feet from me, and he had his fist balled up. And I'm going to stand up so I can show you guys what he was doing. Oh my Lord, my legs went to sleep. I'm going to get a little closer. He was stood up. He had his fist balled up. Now, I'm about that high to him, and he's looking down at me. And he would raise his fist, and he'd raise his foot up, and he'd sling him, and he'd stomp that foot. Boom, and he's growling and snarling. Every time he'd swing his fist, the wind off his hands would hit me in the face. And he'd snarl, then he'd growl, and he was spitting all in my face, growling at me. And it smelled like fermented oranges. It had almost an alcohol smell to it. It smelled like earthworms when you buy a tub of worms to go fishing. It smelled like that. It smelled like rotted peanuts. It had a very sour, putrid smell. It didn't smell like he did. It had a completely different smell. It almost gave the impression of a skunk, but it was not a skunk smell. The strongest odor in his breath was the fermented orange smell. That was what was overpowering the other odors. But I was so close to him, he could have reached out and grabbed me. And the way I was turned looking at him. The barrel of the rifle, I would have hit him somewhere in his upper chest if I would have just pulled the trigger. And I was too scared. I've shot pigs, small pigs, 50 pounds with a 12 gauge with a 3-inch Magnum slug at point blank range and never found them. Had them run off and never find them. If a pig is that durable, how durable is this giant? This guy, he's so much. I was up just above his, if he would have had a visible belly button, the top of my head was probably 5 or 6 inches over what should have been a belly button. He was very angry, had very large eyes. You could see the whites in his eyes, but 90% of his eye was the round colored part that we look at when we're talking to someone. That was the majority of his eye, was that. And it just looked black. But he was very aggravated with me. I don't know what I'd done to anger him. I turned back toward the car. I was so scared. I had tears rolling down my eyes. My heart was hurting. It was pounding so hard. And I wanted to run. I could see the car. It was about 60 yards from me. And I could see Lisa in the driver's seat. I couldn't move. I didn't know what to do. This dude is right behind me. All he had to do is extend his arm. He could put his hand on my shoulder or on top of my head. And so all I knew to do was to grab my headlamp. And it was a cheap Walmart lamp. You could rotate it up and down to shine it away from you or shine it straight down. It would rotate. But the modes on it, each click of the button would change modes. It was a high, low, medium, red light, green light, and then off. So if you were at the green light, you wanted to use the red light, you had to hit the button to go off, hit the button for high, hit the button for medium, hit the button for low, and then the next hit you would be at the red light. You had to cycle through them. I aimed it toward the car and I just started hitting the button as fast as I could hit it. I just kept clicking and clicking and clicking. And it seemed like 10 minutes. And it wasn't long at all, but it seemed forever. And then the lights came on. She's seeing me. She turned the lights on. She turned the high beams on, and then she started yelling, using the F word. And it wasn't, she wasn't saying freaking, but I'll use that word. She was saying, freaking run. And she started blowing the horn. Had the lights flashing, she's blowing the horn, and that's when he took off. And he went to my left. He came in from the right, and he continued to the left, tearing everything down. It sounded like a bulldozer with the engine off, flying through the woods at 40 miles an hour is what it sounded like. I made it to the car, and I opened the door. And as soon as I opened it, I said, "Did you see that bear?" And she said, "That wasn't no freaking bear." And I'm trying to get in, and I looked at her. I said, "What'd you see?" Because I'm trying to picture it as a bear, but due to my fear, my eyes tricked me into thinking it had a human face. And she said that was a man. That was the biggest man I've ever seen. And I went silent. And we went all the way back. I dropped her off. I went home. We didn't speak a word. That encounter changed my life forever. I had to seek out treatment with a psychiatrist for PTSD. I stayed out of the woods for years. It ruined me. When I came online trying to get help, I talked to a lot of people. People laugh you off. They think you're high. They think you're drunk. They have every explanation in the world to tell you what you've seen. I know what I've seen. They weren't there, and nobody wants to hear it. And so I contacted Lynn Smith from Bigfoot Case Files, and what an amazing lady. Highly recommend you guys jumping over. If you don't care for her content, at least subscribe to her. Help her that way. She is amazing. Super kind. And she went out of the way. We stayed in touch, and she said, "I got a guy that's willing to talk to you, and I believe it would help you. Can I give him your number?" I said, "Yes, absolutely." Well, I get a phone call 30 minutes after this conversation with Lynn. And the guy answers the phone. He asks for Donnie. I said, "This is him." He said, "My name is Wes Germer. Lynn Smith gave me your number to talk to you." And I spoke to him, and then he told me he had Sasquatch Chronicles, which at the time I hadn't heard of. It's starting to rain, guys. But I'm going to start walking back. We're going to try to get out of here. But Lynn Smith and Wes Germer were the two that were instrumental in me reclaiming what that encounter took from me, which was just about everything. And if you guys aren't part of Sasquatch Chronicles or Bigfoot Case Files, I highly recommend you jumping over there. They are phenomenal people. They are absolutely the cream of the crop, some of the best people you could ever stumble upon. And I am so, so grateful for Lynn going out of the way to help me for the way that she did. But now I tell people I don't care if people don't believe me. I don't care if they laugh at me. I was there. I know what happened. And if people don't believe me, then, you know, more power to them. They don't have to live with the nightmare that I do. But guys, I'm going to get out of here. I got to figure out how to get out of here. I got to check my map. But thank you all for hanging out. And thank you for the support so many of you have shown me. I absolutely honor and love each and every one of you. And I'm so, so grateful to be connected to so many of you. Y'all have an amazing afternoon. We've got articles coming from Brother Don, and I'll put them out as soon as I have them in my hand, which they're supposed to be here Monday. But you guys, I'm going to Kentucky Saturday. We have a funeral to go to, and then I'm going with Chris up to Kentucky. He's got to go pick up his boat, and he asked me to ride with him. It's a long ride to make by yourself, so I'm gonna go, and I will be filming a little as we go up there, you know, if we get to, especially if we get to see anything really pretty. But y'all have a good afternoon. I love you. God bless you. Be kind, be safe, and I will certainly talk to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.